You're listening to One Bright Star's Life After Loss, a podcast that's focused on the lifelong journey of life after loss, with your hosts Erica Fisher and Alicia Moore. One Bright Star's Life After Loss podcast is sponsored by the law firm of Burkholtz and Associates. And now, One Bright Star's Life After Loss podcast.
Hello, and welcome to One Bright Star's Life After Loss podcast. I'm Erica Fisher, Executive Director for One Bright Star.
And Alicia Moore, President of One Bright Star.
And today we have fellow board member Dena Iverson with us. Hi, Dena.
Hello, nice to see you guys again.
Yes, thank you. I think you were here 2 years ago with us.
I think it was 2 years. I was trying to think about that.
Yeah.
It's gone by fast.
Yes, it has.
And 2 babies later?
Right. Where did that happen?
I know.
That's so
Let's
wonderful.
talk about those babies.
Yeah.
So you have little Charlie, and Charlie was born how many months after Cassie went to heaven?
So he was born 2 years after she had passed. So he's 2 now. So yeah, about 2 years.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And tell us about that. You said that there's an acronym for...
It's called PALS.
Okay.
And it's pregnancy after loss.
Okay.
And man, does it come with a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, to sit and unpack what all comes with that, I mean, it could take weeks, I think.
Yes.
But for my own personal journey, it was joyful. It was very hard, emotional. I mean, sometimes I felt like I was going crazy.
Okay, sure.
But I think some people after loss, you know, we were in the hospital with Cassie, and I remember right away saying to my husband, we want to have another baby. And some people don't experience that, and that's okay. Everybody's different. That was just something we knew right away we wanted to do.
Yes.
And so I don't think I anticipated, how complicated that would be. But I'm the type of person that I try not to think about what's going to happen. I just kind of jump in it, and whatever happens, I deal with it then. And I feel like that's done me good in life, for the most part. And so we tried, obviously after Cassie, we gave it a couple months, and then we started trying. And we experienced, we had 3 miscarriages, and obviously that plays,
really
a huge,
difficult.
Yeah, it was really, really hard. And at the same time, I was just putting my grief into projects, and that kept me busy and kept my mind busy, and leaned on my husband and Clayton, and just kept going.
Yeah.
For our audience's sake, just let us, if you can kind of remind us of how you had Clayton, and then how far along were you when Cassie was born?
So Clayton had just turned 3.
Okay.
And we were like, this is going to be perfect. We'll have a boy and we'll have a girl, and this is the perfect age gap. And so we were really excited about that. And I went to my I was almost 29 weeks appointment. Okay. Just to kind of see how she was doing. And I knew that, I knew the night before that she probably had passed. I wasn't feeling her move. And I just felt something come over me. I don't know how to describe it. I don't know if it was, God telling me that it was going to be okay. I don't know what it was, but I just remember eating candy, having some orange juice, trying to do anything to get her moving, and she wasn't. And I just knew I had to go to bed, get a good night's sleep, and deal with it the next day. And she was stillborn, and we still don't know why. We've done the testing. She was perfect. I mean, there's nothing physically that I could see wrong with her. She was so beautiful.
Yes.
And I like to think she looked like me.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's sweet.
Yes. Beautiful.
So, yeah. And I don't think most people, when you're there, you're grieving and you're filled with a lot of emotions, but I don't think it truly impacts you until even years later. And I can say for myself, I'm just now starting to really deal with the emotions of it all.
Yes, absolutely. It's got to be so overwhelming at the time. And having children. And as we've visited with you, Dena, and other moms, when you leave the hospital without your baby,
Right.
that's just heart-wrenching. And so you and your husband talk that you want to have more kids. And then you mentioned 3 miscarriages, which is like an emotional roller coaster itself, too.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you get to the point where you're kind of obsessive about it. And I think a lot of
Right.
women that struggle with infertility can probably relate to what I'm talking about, where you're testing right away. And, it probably wasn't the healthiest thing to do, but it just...
It's
It was
what you do.
something
Yeah.
to,
And so we figured out that I was having early miscarriages. And so what my doctor did is they put me on baby aspirin. And that, from conversations with my doctor, that seems to be something so simple, but helps so many women.
Wow.
The pregnancy just sticks.
Okay.
So
Really?
once I started taking
Okay.
it, within a few months, I got pregnant with Charlie.
Wow. I've
yeah.
not heard that before, so that's interesting. Maybe people out there will,
Yeah.
start taking a baby aspirin. You never know. Sometimes,
Yeah.
like you said, sometimes just simple things that might just help somebody else.
Yeah.
But
And I don't know if it was that. I don't
Right.
know. I can't say for sure, but that's just something that
That's
I
something that
noticed.
you-
And
Okay.
either way, it was a blessing.
that's right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And just, I was pregnant, and I for sure thought it was going to be a girl. And I was like, this is going to be, you kind of think to
Yes.
yourself, is you're going to get back your child that you lost in some kind of odd way.
Right.
And obviously it was a boy.
Yes.
And I had so many emotions, so much guilt for hoping that it was a girl, and just all of it. It was a
Yes.
lot to unpack. And I remember calling my husband, because we did the blood test just to make sure that
Right.
everything was
Good.
right. And I remember calling him and crying and saying, it's not a girl, it's a boy.
Yes.
And now I look at him and I'm like, this is exactly what I was supposed to have.
Yes.
Because it
He's
helped me.
adorable.
Yeah,
Oh
and it
my
helped me,
gosh.
I think, grieve Cassie and know that they're separate.
Yes.
Which I
Yes.
knew, but yet my
Yeah.
heart wanted to bring her
Right.
back.
You were, yeah.
And like you said, you wanted a baby to replace Cassie, but a girl that would have been, that might have been something where you were starting to have those feelings that you were
Yeah.
replacing, and you never can replace Cassie.
No.
And Charlie is never going to, he's going to look at you and say, Mom, I was exactly what you needed at the time.
Yes, and we talk about this, gosh, almost every week, and I look at my husband and I'm like, I just love this kid
Yes.
so much, and he is exactly what I needed.
What you needed. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So, is there anything that sticks out? I know it just had to be a roller coaster of emotions when you're pregnant with Charlie. When you have him and that stuff, is there anything that really sticks out for you in having him, or that you wanted to share?
After talking to other moms that have had babies, it's so important to allow yourself to feel the feelings and not feel guilty. When you bring another baby into the world, you're going to have the feelings, obviously, of I love this child, and the feeling is overwhelming, but you also will have some resentment, and you might not bond with that baby right away, and that's okay, and it doesn't mean that you don't love them.
Right.
But I remember sometimes
It's a lot
rocking
of
him.
Big emotion.
It is,
Yes.
and singing to him, and then I would stop singing because I didn't get to do it with Cassie, and so then I felt guilty.
Okay.
And you go through all of these things, and the fear that something's going to happen and they're going to die,
Yes.
and it's a lot.
It is a
And
lot.
Everybody's different of how they experience it, and I don't get those feelings so much anymore.
Okay.
Not with him, now that he's older, but it's
Right.
okay if you don't bond right away. You
Okay.
will.
Yes,
It will
you
happen.
will. Yep.
Yeah.
Is it part of that grieving process, maybe? And it's just different. You have Charlie that's helping you work through that grieving process, and that you just need to be able to work through those emotions too.
Right.
I think you think that it's going to fix everything. At least this is my experience. Is
interesting.
I thought that it was, once I would have him here, I would move past and
Right.
start living again and having joy again.
You'd be in a
And-
different part of your journey.
Yeah, and I have now 4 years out from Cassie realized that there is no fast track to healing.
Right.
Yes.
It will wait for you whenever when it's time for you to start processing it. It will be there still, and that there's nobody and nothing that's going to cover it.
That's really
Wow, yeah,
that's good. Healing will wait for you. I think that's
Yeah.
really that's really insightful. Neat.
Yeah.
So
You should write a book, Dena.
yes,
Really.
yes, you should. So tell us about little Caylee then.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Fast forward how many years?
Yeah.
6 months.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I talked to my husband and we chuckle about it now, but I think we were at the place of like, well, whatever is going to happen is going to happen, and we're just going to
Right.
roll with it because it took so long for Charlie. And then 6 months after we had him, we got pregnant with Caylee, and we're like,
Oh,
Hello.
oh boy.
yeah, we were excited. We were scared. I mean, I remember laughing with him about it and going through all of those kind of same emotions. And well, we have a crib and we have all the things we need.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
We also did the blood test with her, and I got a call from my nurse, and she said, I wanted to call you personally just to let you know that it's a girl. And I remember having those same feelings of like, okay, whatever it's going to be, it's going to be. And I kind of told myself, you know, it's probably going to be a boy, and that's okay because Cassie will be my girl. And at that point, I think I had worked through everything that I would have been okay.
Yes.
But when I heard it was a girl, I was like, oh boy.
Yes.
Now comes all the other emotions that I wasn't expecting.
Okay.
And I remember the pregnancy it flew by. I think I was so busy with Clayton and Charlie and going through, you know, Clayton had just
Right.
started school. And so trying to do all that when she actually finally did come here, I did soak it up. And I went to the Mankato clinic or the Mankato hospital, and
Yeah.
I had her because that's where I had Cassie. Charlie was born in Rochester because I wasn't ready yet to. But I knew that at that point I was ready. I was
Okay.
ready to see the nurses that I love so much there and to be surrounded in a space that Cassie was. And it didn't feel scary that I thought it was going to.
Okay.
And it didn't. And it felt like I accomplished something. I overcame.
Oh, I love
Oh,
that.
I love
yeah,
that.
You
Yes.
got to that next,
Yeah.
or your next part.
And
yeah.
it felt good. And
Yeah, and now look at little Caylee.
Yes.
And I've not had those feelings with her of, I mean, you have the normal emotions of like, oh, I wish I could have done this with Cassie, and I wish I could have done that. And I think that's something too that people that haven't had a loss might not understand is that in everything you do, there is joy and there is sadness.
Yes.
In everything. And sometimes there's more joy than there is the sad, but it all kind of lives together.
Right.
Right.
You know, and so when I have these moments with Caylee, I think to myself, oh, I wish I could have done that with Cassie, but then I think I wouldn't have Charlie and Caylee here
Right.
with me, and I feel they're connected to her in some way.
They are, and look
Yes.
at because
Absolutely.
you were just telling me how Kaylee's a little spitfire,
She is very
and
much so,
that's
yes.
because she has strong women in her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you,
Yep.
Cassie.
Yes.
Yeah,
I know that Cassie's looking down at
Yes.
us every day and smiling.
absolutely.
Yeah. And so, you know, to kind of touch on the part of the now that I'm grieving, I feel like you go through the sadness, but I think that the part of actually the grieving part is when you dive in deeper and you try to figure out, what did I learn from this experience? How can I move forward with this experience? And I just decided to start seeing Amanda at Mayo through the MAC initiative. I have my first appointment with her, I believe this week. It could be next week. I have to check. But I'm excited. I'm excited to actually talk about my emotions
Yes.
and not just do things to kind of mask it.
Right,
know,
that's a huge step,
good for
Dena.
you.
That's awesome.
Yes,
Yes,
that's
I'm
really
excited.
good. Talk about that, Dena. You mentioned that you did projects after Cassie passed, and before you had Charlie and that stuff, and you said you had your miscarriages, and you focused on projects. What did you do?
I did quite a bit of stuff. I tried to keep myself very busy, and the first thing I did was for Cassie's due date, I made bereavement baskets,
Okay.
and I sent those in just with a letter, and I wanted to do something that actually touched the people that are going to be having a loss, because I know when I was in the hospital, I had received some items
Okay.
that touched Cassie, and I'll never wash them because
Oh,
Right.
very
that
special.
was just something that was with her, and so that was important to me. And then
Okay.
from there, I really was just trying really hard to figure out what else I can do, and that's when the carrying cradle kind of came into the picture. And I decided instead of doing a fundraiser, I wanted to do tumblers, and that way I can make something and keep myself busy, but then spread the awareness of it.
That was so neat.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. I'm happy I'm done with it.
Yep. Right.
We still have glitter.
Do you put glitter everywhere?
Glitter, it'll never go away.
No, it doesn't. And it's, have you heard the saying of grief is like glitter?
Yeah.
That
Oh, yes.
it touches. Yeah. And so
Everything
that kind of became
yes.
my motto. And just,
So, yeah.
glitter for a cause was something that we came up with when we reached that goal. I wanted to do something else. And so I wanted to I was kind of inspired by One Bright Star. And this is before I had known and met you guys. I had heard about the monument, and I was like, New Ulm needs something like this. And we need it. We need to have a space. And I've seen other cemeteries have little things.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And so I reached out to some of the other lost moms, and a couple of them had decided to join me. One of them was also on the board, Paige. And so Paige and a couple other moms came together, and we called each other Mamas on a Mission to spread awareness, one sparkle at a time.
I love it.
Great.
Yes.
And that, we each have our own journeys. We each have our own things. And so we tried to talk about that and bring the community in. And after about a year of finding the site, talking to people, COVID came, and obviously that affected things, but we did put up a little beautiful, in my opinion. I love the mom and
so
the baby.
gorgeous.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it's a peaceful place. It's a monument, and then people can buy papers to add to it. And that was the last thing now that I've done, and it was a lot, and I had to then kind of step back and just center myself again.
Yes.
You still do so much, though. You don't realize how much you do for One Bright Star all the time.
I just love being part of this group.
We
and
love you being part of this group.
We're very honored to have you.
Yes.
You bring a
Thank you.
lot to our board, and your ideas, your creativity, and like you said, everyone has a story, and you've done amazing things. And so, just to have you collaborate with us and everything is wonderful.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the
Yes.
opportunity.
Yes,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Tell me more about the cradle.
Yeah, so the cradle, it's, and I say this all the time just to pre-warn people that have never had a loss. So you are giving birth to your baby that has passed, and obviously you know what happens to people that have passed. They need something cool to be in. And so when I had Cassie, as much as the nurses tried to comfort me, I was a little traumatized by putting her on ice or wrapping her in something, because as a mom, what is something you want to do to your
Warm
baby?
snuggles with your baby.
You want to wrap them, and
Yes.
that's instincts, I feel like. And so I was wrapping her, and I just didn't care for the experience. And I appreciate though what they had to offer, but I was searching for something that else I could do, and somehow I don't even remember how it came up, but I just saw the cradle. And it was purple, and Cassie's color is purple. And so I was like, this is perfect. But it has a cooling mechanism underneath it. And so it's an actual cradle, and it looks nice. It's not scary. I mean, it
looks normal.
Right.
It looks like a little baby
Yes.
cradle. Yes.
And so your baby can lay in it, and there's nothing attached to the child. It's cooling underneath, and you can wheel it by your bedside. And I just appreciate that the hospital here allowed us to donate it and use it. And I have met countless moms that have used it. And, I remember Nicole had joined me with it, and we both had talked about, I hope it's never used, but we know in reality, stuff happens, and we're just grateful that it's
I know
there.
the hospital is so grateful that it's there, and Amanda. Yeah. So, there's,
It needs
It was
to
a
be in
wonderful
every
thing.
hospital, I feel like, because
It
it's
really does.
it's dignified. It's,
Yes. Absolutely.
and that's
It's
what it should be.
something seems so small, but
It's so impactful, and you make such a big difference.
Yes.
And that's what says a lot about you, Dena, is that a lot of us can go through things in our lives, and we're not maybe motivated to make a change or to take something that we've gone through and be able to make something good out of it, and help other people with their experience. And so you've definitely done that.
Well, I feel like it helped me too.
And that's
You
great.
know, and
Yes.
it helped me because when you have a loss, you feel so alone.
Yes.
And so I was desperate to reach out to people and know other moms that have gone through it because
you don't want to be alone. You want to connect.
Yeah.
Yes.
And, you hate that you meet them in this situation, but I'm so grateful to have met the families and the women and just to know that my kids have somebody else they can talk to, because that's something I think people sometimes forget about, is that your child is going to grow up and they're going to know that they have a sibling in heaven,
Right.
and they're going to go
Right.
through their own grieving process, and it's something unique, and I don't quite know how to help them through it. That's something I'm going to have to figure out, when the time comes. But,
Right.
it's
That's a really good
lifelong thing.
Right. That's
Dena,
a
your
really
kids
good
are
thing.
so lucky to have an amazing mom like you,
Thank you.
because everything you're saying is so true. And wow, I'm in awe of you.
Well, don't be. I just, it's the love of Cassie that
Yes.
always inspires me. And I just, you
The
just
love
wanna
is so
love her.
big. Yeah, the love is so big, and I'm in awe of the love. That's amazing.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you for all that you do. So we really appreciate you coming back and visiting with us today. And you're doing so many great things that we're probably going to have to talk again, especially
She made us walk the highways the other day.
which
It
was
felt
so
good, though.
It felt really good.
Yeah.
It
was.
felt really
I
good.
can't believe how much.
It didn't feel like it, but once you put it all
Yeah.
together, it was a lot. And I appreciate you guys doing that with me. And
Very,
Of
One
very
Bright
glad
Star
to do
doing
it.
And
Yes.
I did it even though I'm scared to death of wood ticks and anything else that might be in the ditch. I did it.
your socks protected you.
Hey, those
Yes.
socks were great.
Yeah, they were.
Somebody told me that's how you're supposed to do it, because somebody said that a mouse crawled up their leg once.
Oh, goodness.
So
Oh my gosh.
I did that for you, Dena.
Well, I appreciate it. And the environment.
I did it for One Bright Star.
There you
Yes.
go.
Yes, and I'm excited for what else we have planned and the things that will come in the future. And I
Yeah.
know that we will keep growing. And I'm excited to meet everybody, like every family member that comes into One Bright Star, and just to
Right.
be there for everybody. So
We're lucky to have you, Dena.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Until next time, thank you.
Thanks for listening to One Bright Star's Life After Loss podcast. Life After Loss is a copyrighted production of One Bright Star. One Bright Star's Life After Loss podcast is sponsored by the law firm of Burkholtz and Associates. For more information on the lifelong journey after losing a loved one, please visit our website at onebrightstar.org.